Alex and Sam graduated the same year, got hired at the same company for the exact same starting salary. Same desk, basically the same commute, basically the same life in every visible way you can measure on day one. 15 years later, one of them is financially free, with investments quietly growing in the background, completely covering their basic expenses without working another day. The other is still living paycheck to paycheck, still stressed every time the car needs a repair, wondering where it all went. Here's the part that should genuinely surprise you. They never made different amounts of money. Not once, in 15 years, did one out-earn the other by any meaningful amount. Same raises, roughly the same career path, same bonuses most years. So what actually happened in between? Let's break down the exact moments where their paths quietly split, because it has almost nothing to do with how much either of them made, and almost everything to do with what happened next. This is the part that makes the story actually useful, instead of just another more disciplined lecture. Alex and Sam started completely identical. Same salary, same cost of living, same starting savings of basically zero, same lack of any real financial head start from family. No trust fund, no inheritance, no early stock tip that made one of them rich overnight. Neither of them was naturally smarter with money on day one. Neither of them had taken some special finance class the other skipped, and neither of them read some secret book the other never picked up. If income alone determined financial outcome, which is what most of us are quietly taught to assume our whole lives, these two should have ended up in roughly the same place 15 years later, give or take a little. They didn't. And the reason traces back to a small handful of specific decisions, repeated quietly and consistently year after year, that most people never even notice happening in their own lives. The first real fork in the road came with their very first raise. Alex got the extra $5,000 a year and did what felt completely natural, upgraded the apartment, leased a nicer car, treated it as finally having room to breathe after years of being careful. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it's incredibly common because it doesn't feel reckless in the moment at all. It feels earned, deserved, even responsible. You worked harder, you got more, so naturally your life should reflect that. Sam got the exact same raise and made one quiet, almost boring decision. Keep the lifestyle exactly the same for now and redirect that new $5,000 straight into investments instead. No willpower marathon, no extreme budgeting spreadsheet. No giving up coffee, just one automatic transfer set up once on a random Tuesday and then never touched or even thought about again. This single habit repeated at every future raise for the next 15 years. And there were several more raises along the way. And it's genuinely the single biggest reason their two paths started separating in the first place, long before either of them noticed anything had actually changed. Even when Alex did have some money left over at the end of a good month, it just sat in a checking account, earning almost nothing, eventually getting absorbed into the next month's spending without any real plan attached to it. There was no system actively pulling it anywhere else, so it never had a real chance to grow, no matter how many good intentions Alex had at the start of each month. Sam set up an automatic monthly transfer into a simple, broad index fund years earlier and essentially forgot about it entirely. That's the whole trick, not picking winning individual stocks, not trying to time the market, just removing the decision from the equation completely so the money never had a chance to get spent in the first place. Over a few months, this barely shows up as any meaningful difference at all. Over 15 years, this single difference in plumbing, quite literally just where the leftover money automatically flows each month, ends up maturing more than almost anything else in this entire story. There's one more divergence worth naming directly: debt. Alex occasionally leaned on credit cards to cover the gap between the new, upgraded lifestyle and what was actually left over each month, and that balance rarely got paid off completely, rolling forward month after month. At 20+% interest, that debt didn't just sit there quietly in the background. It actively worked against Alex, growing exactly the way Sam's investments were growing, just in the opposite, far more painful direction. Sam wasn't perfect either, and occasionally used a credit card too for the rewards points and the convenience, but paid the full balance off every single month without exception, treating it purely as a payment tool rather than a financing tool. That one habit alone, repeated consistently, prevented years' worth of compounding interest from quietly draining money that could have gone toward building wealth instead. The exact same compounding force, just working for Sam instead of against them. Add it all up after 15 years, and here's where they actually land. Alex, who earned the exact same income the entire time, has a net worth of roughly $40,000, some scattered savings, some minimal retirement contributions through work, mostly offset by leftover credit card debt that never quite got eliminated along the way. Sam, with that same exact income, has a net worth of roughly $380,000. That's not a typo. And it's not because Sam got lucky picking some hot stock or timing the market perfectly, and it's definitely not because Sam earned more money at any point along the way. We've already established that simply isn't true. It's the simple, almost anticlimactic result of redirecting raises instead of absorbing them, automating savings instead of relying on willpower in the moment, and avoiding high-interest debt instead of leaning on it whenever things felt tight. All of it compounded quietly every single month for 15 straight years without either of them thinking about it on a daily basis. The lesson here isn't make more money, even though that's everyone's first instinct when they hear a story like this. Alex and Sam already proved that two people can earn the exact same income for 15 straight years and still end up worlds apart financially. What actually determines your financial future is the gap between what you earn and what you spend, and more importantly, what you consistently and automatically do with that gap, month after month, year after year, long enough for it to actually compound into something real. Income just determines how big that gap could potentially be. You still have to decide where it goes every single time, whether you're thinking about it or not. Alex and Sam's story isn't really about Alex and Sam specifically. It's about the version of this exact choice that shows up in your own life every time you get a raise, a bonus, a tax refund, or just a little extra breathing room you weren't expecting. What you do in that exact moment, repeated quietly over enough years, quietly decides which platform you end up standing on 15 years from now. If this hit a little too close to home, subscribe. Next video, we're walking through what actually happens when all the Bitcoin in the world has finally been mined and why that moment matters more than people think. See you there.